Alright. Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is going to be between Chaemiko and HawK, taking place here on Autumn Leaves 2.0, human versus human mirror match. HawK has spawned as the yellow human on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Chaemiko has spawned as, well, the blue human on the top right. Um, like to say, um, thank you for all the well wishes out there. I kind of, well, I found a new job. Since I'm almost keeping this as a little bit of an update on what's going on with me, did find a new job. I am getting paid hourly, no longer salary, but hopefully something comes of this. Feels weird to like clock in, clock out, put in my hours, and do all of that after so many years of being a salaried employee. But hopefully, my worth and my work will justify, and I'll be able to stick around for a while. Um, start earning some vacation hours, things like that. Anyways, let's go ahead and break things down. Altar of Kings, Town Hall, Barracks off over here. Meanwhile, Town Hall, Altar of Kings, Barracks as well. A couple of farms, and it is going to be an Archmage going up against an Archmage. No big surprises here. Human mirror match, one of those where the Archmage is often the primary hero. If not Archmage, it's oftentimes Mountain King and then followed by the Blood Mage. Just because you want the option to go casters. If you don't go for that Archmage, you kind of, pigeonhole yourself into not being able to go casters, as your opponent, well, all they need to do is go, ooh, this is going to be a little bit interesting, leaving a little bit of space in between those two farms. I don't believe a tower can go there, and with that, you can accidentally scroll a town portal in between these two farms, and then, well, set yourself up for a little bit of an unfortunate incident. All right, a couple of HawK's militia trying to call to arms took a little bit of a weird, wrong turn, as we now see a footman coming in from Chaemiko as well. There goes a quick ensnare onto a militia. Meanwhile, that water elemental absorbing quite a bit of that damage. Forest Troll Berserker down. Now going to go after another Troll Berserker or another Forest Troll. Archmage already picks up the Claws of Attack +5 and is wandering about. Meanwhile, Chaemiko opting to go for a militia clear onto the Goblin Merchant Shop. So Goblin Merchant Shop, that water elemental, gonna take about one more shot, and well, a new water elemental getting summoned up. Water elemental, well, absorbing 500 points of damage while dishing out a bit of his own, as the Archmage and Archmage now exchange blows. This could be a little bit of a tough spot. Archmage, who got the kill, I believe HawK's Archmage actually got the kill there. So now very close to level 2, however, has taken quite a bit of damage. We're still looking at both sides exchanging blows, but remember, Archmage of HawK does have the Claws of Attack +5, so that may not sound like much early on, but it does really rack up quickly, as that Archmage now trying to, well, put in some pressure again. One thing to note, Archmage now sitting at level 2 does get Brilliant Aura quickly, as that Water Elemental about to get taken down. There goes another shot there, Archmage. Well, 281, nearly at, well, at more than 2 1/3 now, in terms of that experience. Chaemiko is going to be forced to retreat back, but the real story is, well, this Archmage doesn't have that much mana. In an Archmage versus Archmage mirror match, mana translates to water elementals, and water elementals translates to early pressure, and that's what you're seeing right here. The fact that HawK still has another water elemental with another one lying in wait, ready to go. Oh, that footman, wow, long distance, well, Hail Mary of a shot, able to get that kill there. Finally, Chaemiko getting that important water Brilliant Aura, and now with dual Rings of Protection +3, does give a bit more effective hit points overall, nearing 10 armor, so effectively 60% more hit points when you calculate it. Militia of HawK going after this Ogre Magi creep camp here. Meanwhile, Archmage could be playing with fire. Archmage here only at 127 hit points, and it may not be able to do all that much. Gonna go ahead and get to level 2 water elementals most likely, and then perhaps try and push a water elemental through the walls here. Meanwhile, Arcane Tower is gonna get upgraded. The Archmage here of HawK really trying to do a lot, perhaps biting off more than he can chew. Is he gonna try and water elemental push? No, he decides against it at 74 hit points. Cannot really risk it there, so risk reward opportunity. Archmage, even with Boots of Speed, just now getting away from all of that pressure. Back at the bases, we can see Tech to Tier 2 of HawK nearly done on both sides having that Arcane Vault. And with that Arcane Vault, you better believe a Scroll of Regeneration is in store. There goes the creeps, aggroing that footman right there. Another footman may get taken down. Are we going to see a little bit more damage go down onto that footman? Footman down to 100 or 94 hit points. That's going to be some bad news indeed, as, well, Chaemiko gets a kill there. So 2 footmen lost in that extra pressure as the Archmage picks up a Mantle of Intelligence and, well, tries to figure out what or how to respond next. Oh no, Water Elemental wants to go after that Archmage. Archmage wants to get a little bit of distance. Water Elemental wants to give a water hug to the Archmage to, well, disrupt all of that healing. Meanwhile, HawK's Water Elemental here just outside the range as we finally see some exchanging of blows. All right, Forest Troll Berserker, Forest Troll Trapper, Archmage comes back around, cleans up the remainder of this creep camp, but the item already grabbed by Chaemiko. Now, what is the follow-up play here? We are getting up a dual Arcane Sanctum. Mountain King is now out on both sides. Arcane Sanctum just now getting started by Chaemiko, so significantly later, and, well, a lack of lumber also perhaps a bit of a problem for Chaemiko, so not being able to train up nearly as much, also getting up a couple of priests first to try and, well, stay all healed up as we see Inner Fire really being applied here. All right, Stormbolt, and the first choice by that Mountain King, but the Mountain King now going to come back the other way. This could potentially be a big problem here as the unit's going to get a Stormbolt onto HawK's Footman. Footman now down to 215 hit points. More of HawK's units trying to come back the other way. This Creepjack could be a pivot point as, well, Chaemiko coming back across here. All right, we're going to see a Stormbolt go down onto a Footman. So one good Storm-bolted Footman deserves another. There goes another right there. I believe it was taken out by creeps. More low hit point units. Chaemiko trying to retreat back with those units. One low hit point Footman will end up surviving. Both sides still exchanging blows. There's a Stormbolt onto the Mountain King now. Mountain King, is it going to get surrounded? It is. And, well, there's a Stormbolt Militia now coming back over. Still a full surround. Mountain King of HawK going to fall at level 1 and traded for a Footman there. Now Militia continuing to battle it through. Dual water element or triple water elementals, but only 1 for HawK, 2 for Chaemiko as this water elemental about to get taken down. All right, denied by the creeps. We're looking at the Archmage of Chaemiko continuing exchange blows. Mountain King going to perhaps try and finish off the Warlord here. Archmage trying to get in some blows as the priests have come over to get in some heals. Some low hit point Footmen. Are they going to give experience to the Archmage? It does not look like it. Oh, no, it does. So now getting closer to level 4. Mountain King wants to come back around. It doesn't have enough mana for another quick bullet there as we see a quick dispel once more. All right. So a bit of a bloodbath there. It was advantage for Chaemiko for a short while, quickly turning around for HawK as the reinforcement of those priests allowed for new units to show up and just better duration. And then HawK able to outlast, but the Mountain King didn't get any of that experience. Or didn't get enough experience as Chaemiko takes the experience lead on his Mountain King. Now, well, we do know how important level 4 is on that Archmage to get level 2 Brilliance Aura. Look at these priests here, relatively low on mana. Yes, you could just train up more priests to have, well, to try to fill it up just a bit more. But then you start to run into supply cap issues and your Spellbreaker counts are off. And all of these things are just very delicate in a human versus human mirror match. Archmage coming back around here. Are we going to see some Water Elementals get summoned up here? There goes a Null Warden. Water Elemental going to get dropped. Null Warden taken down. Null Assassin also here. So HawK doing some easy clearing of the creep camps. Mountain King wants to get to level 3. Footman shouting out, is he going to get bolted? Yes, he will. Is he going to get surrounded? It looks like he's just going to get taken down. No real chance to save as well. Chaemiko tries to return the favor. There's a couple of dispels, and oh, one more shot. And some priest here, level 4 now on the Archmage by Chaemiko. So level 2 Brilliant Aura for both sides. And now we're just going to see, well, the sniping of the priests. Common game now, sniping down those priests unarmored, lower overall hit points as the Mountain Kings look to, well, take apart the glue that is holding the armies together, all of that healing. All right, who's going to be able to get that last hit, last shot there, trying to finish things off. Mountain King going to come back around. We're looking at a Stormbolt on to a Priest, and this is going to give level 3 to that Mountain King. Level 3, suddenly Mountain King has a bigger, stronger bullet, even more mana with that level up. Could try and finish off some more of those units. Are we going to see a Stormbolt there? Yes, there goes another Priest again. Water Elemental still engaging here. More Stormbolts. Who's going to finish things off here as Chaemiko now making its way down? All right, there's a lucky bash. That may be enough. One more final shot. Another priest gets taken down as this one low hit point water elemental is still reaching back here. Mountain King, does he have enough mana for another Stormbolt? No, he doesn't. And this, it really is a game of just small advantages, is constantly shifting things the other way. Now, what Chaemiko doesn't want to do is get hit by Spellbreakers. Mana on that Mountain King, incredibly important. If you can ensure mana on the Mountain King, well, that means you have a bullet ready to stun down the opposing Mountain King and perhaps even remove his bullet as well with Spellbreakers. Footman versus Priest fighting back here off to the north. I believe the Priest will actually win out on that battle in terms of even supply. As, yeah, the magic damage, the healing, Arcane Tower joining in on the fight here. More priests making their way over, and we're going to see, well, are we going to see another shot? Oh, yep, Footman getting taken down by all of those priests there. All right. Tides of battle, perhaps a very accurate description of this fight here. The tide is pushing and pulling these two armies together, and depending on the time, one side has the advantage and now the other. HawK, perhaps it's time to shine. Able to get a Stormbolt, gets up to level 3 on that Mountain King Stormbolt, and now this Mountain King seriously in trouble. Invul Potion being used alongside a Scroll of Town Portal, and Chaemiko being forced to exit stage left. And that's going to give opportunities for the Mountain King Archmage clear up a creep camp here, perhaps try and clear out another orange creep camp as well. As we're still looking at, well, the Archmage of Chaemiko, perhaps he's just going to, yeah, HawK's Footman here just really overstaying his welcome and going to try and retreat back out. Mountain King and a Stormbolt deliver that message and get the unit back. HawK's expansion not getting pressured at all. Meanwhile, Chaemiko's is. There is a little bit of home field advantage in terms of reinforcements for Chaemiko, but right now, mana on the Mountain King, the key to opening up and trying to take an early advantage. If you're able to get a Stormbolt off, force a fight, force an engagement, as the Mountain King once more, he's getting stunned, he's losing mana because of that Spellbreaker, and that is just opening up the advantage even further for HawK. Now, we see some reinforcements trying to come in from behind, perhaps try to stop some of these priest water elementals off across over here. They're going to get taken down as well, as another priest gets taken out. Mountain King does not have enough for a bullet yet, and the problem is those Spellbreakers are the front line, the first unit that you can possibly spot. There's a Stormbolt, there's a death of a priest again, so it is just picking off priest left and right in this battle, where the Spellbreakers being immune to magic and the Mountain King and the Archmage having natural spell resistance make them, well, not priority targets unless you catch them in just the right position. Both sides, I do not believe, are going to castle, so we are not going to see knights. We are not going to see sundering blades. Another Stormbolt goes down onto the Mountain King, and there you have it again. Spellbreakers trying to feed back that mana, and the Mountain King not having mana is still the key part of this game. Now, trying to go for a Blood Mage at this point would be an interesting call. It would open up an additional target for the Mountain King to try and Stormbolt, and as soon as you have 2 priority targets, well, having 2 priority targets pretty much shuts you down, as you don't know which one you need to necessarily hit. That could be the next advancement in perhaps well, human versus human mirror match. But it looks like both of these sides are content at staying at Spellbreaker Priest right now, as the Spellbreakers 1-1 versus 1-1 upgrades. Mountain Kings with 2 bullets in the chambers. Well, Mountain King with those Spellbreakers on one control group, Chaemiko, Archmage, and Range and Priest on another control group, trying to just catch these units in a bad position. There you go. There's that Stormbolt that we were talking about, and there's all of that mana feedback again. More Dispel Magic again, as the Mountain King of Chaemiko does have enough for a bullet, but what is he going to try and hit? Perhaps hit another Priest. There he goes. So delivering on that Priest damage once more. More Militia coming across onto the battlefield. They're going to get healed up. The Militia really have nowhere to go without, because the Spellbreakers are that frontline ranged, or frontline but semi-ranged. It opens things up into a really weird spot for the Militia to try and reinforce. They can't get around those Spellbreakers, and they're just pushing through again and again. Both sides' armies exchanging blows once more. Health bars showing a story of Spellbreakers, a Scroll of Healing, and well, a wide Scroll of Healing used right there. Mountain King trying to perhaps get in a lucky bash, but the Mountain King of Chaemiko may be forced to exit off over on the side here. He needs to get more lucky bashes, as the Spellbreakers are trying to remove more Militia now back into their peasant form, as the Priests are still reinforcing here. The Priest not close enough to the Mountain King, and that is the major problem. We do see level 3 Brilliance Aura on HawK. So that is the idea behind that, to get more mana into the Mountain King to win out on those battles. Mountain King Invul Potion now, holding on ever so barely. He needs to get healed up by those Priests behind him, and that is what's happening right now, as the Mountain King has to be very careful, though. Low hit point Spellbreaker, and the Mountain King down to 100, levels up. Is he going to be able to Cloak of Shadows? And he does Cloak of Shadows. He Cloaks of Shadows, loses aggro, and then comes back again. All right, so a constant battling once more. Low hit point Priest able to back up, and still, well, they're just trying to go after these targets. The lines are starting to fall. Spellbreaker getting lost here. Chaemiko's Mountain King down to 66, 53, 6. He gets taken down, and now HawK finally comes away with a big advantage right there. That sudden spike, and now that Mountain King with level 2 bash perhaps can get some more lucky hits onto some of those Spellbreakers as they're running by. 69 supply compared to 74. This has been constant, long, drawn-out battles over and over again. The Priests do not have enough mana. All right, the Priests do not have enough mana to constantly dispel magic, even the level 2 water elementals. Remember, both sides opting to get for level 3 Brilliance Aura instead. So with that, they're unable to dispel the water elementals that are dealing piercing damage to them. So one of those situations where you just finally needed to reach a breaking point. Chaemiko sitting on 1100 gold but only 55 lumber, and unable to train up the necessary units. Looking at mana is key here, as the units are trying to fall back once more. All right, Militia getting called back over. We are still at keep on both sides. Mountain King needs to get resurrected, and it is, well, going to be quite some time before he's out on the battlefield. Apologies, still, I do not have the health bars on the overlays any longer. The upgraded version of the overlay to help reduce lag, I believe, because there was some inconsistencies because of the amount of information that I believe the APIs needed to use in order to update the things on the corner, caused some timing and delays. So the health point bars were perhaps a bit of a cause there. At least that would be my guess. I don't know. Pad, you can talk to me about it. You probably know, well, you definitely know better than I do. Archmage coming back around here. Priest continuing to move forward. Well, Spellbreaker's trying to get in a little bit of damage again. Priest are still fighting back here, and reinforcements. This is just well, Spellbreaker versus Priest battle non-stop. More priests coming across, and you can see the difference the one Mountain King makes. Every time you see that Mountain King have enough mana for a Stormbolt, or you see a sudden bash on HawK, you suddenly realize how important that Mountain King is in gaining an advantage. Once again, right there, the Priest getting Stormbolted, and then the Spellbreakers just finishing it off again. Now, the interesting part is whether or not the Spellbreakers, now both sides having 2-2 versus 2-1 upgrades. HawK having a slight advantage, but is also in high upkeep, so it is now 8 gold a second versus 14, while they both run on 2 bases. This Mountain King doesn't have anywhere to run to. Mountain King of Chaemiko wants to get in a Stormbolt, but is losing a little bit of mana. Yeah, you can see just constantly dancing around 75, unable to get that mana perhaps onto a Stormbolt, onto the battlefield. Mountain King, well, Stormbolt there, gets the Mountain King of HawK. HawK may be forced to use an Invul Potion, uses the Invul Potion in time, as Chaemiko now trying to retreat back. All right. We're going to see one Water Elemental causing some problems. This one Mountain King, what is he doing? He is running around the corner. Is he going to be able to stay alive? Boots of Speed, Staff of Teleportation, Bash. Oh, Invul Potion. And now, but the Archmage and the Mountain King were away from this battle for a little bit of time. Did that affect anything? 81 supply. Well, 87 compared to 78, but the reinforcements going to take a little bit of time to get there as more Water Elementals try to make their way over and try to put pressure onto Chaemiko's expansion. Oh, we're finally going to get to the Chaemiko's expansion here, and Chaemiko's expansion finally going to lose some peasants. That could be a problem. Scroll of Regeneration used. Mountain King is going to be able to get a bash. No lucky bash there, and that is the issue. Mountain King gets up to level 5, and that may be the thing that HawK needed to get further ahead. Stormbolt onto the Mountain King. You can see the Mountain King losing mana quickly. Stormbolt back onto the other Mountain King. So Stormbolting the Mountain King so he stands still long enough to lose mana is the key to this game right now. And there goes another one again. HawK down to 81 mana. It's 76, 75. Almost losing. Oh, Stormbolt going back the other way. Archmage gets up to level 6. Mass Teleport now on the table. Are we going to see a Stormbolt onto the Archmage? Yes. The Archmage gets Stormbolted. And, well, the Archmage was never a real priority for Stormbolt, so the Mountain King now needs to save a Stormbolt for the Archmage if he wants to try and, well, prolong these battles. Mountain King still with plenty of mana. Are we going to see another mass teleport away? That is going to be the question. There's a bash onto another here, as there's a couple of units by Chaemiko. They're not joining in on the battle. They're just rallied. They need to join in on the fight. All right, making sure all of the units are participating in the battle. Feels like project management. Don't just sit back in the battlefield just because you have nothing to do. And, well, while your friends are working on the project, as we see another Stormbolt go down here. Mountain King, well, doesn't want to go after here. Mountain King could be in trouble. Down to 300, 400 hit points. There's a Stormbolt. Didn't shake it off with an Invul Potion. Down to 146. Mountain King may be forced to use an Invul Potion here. Down to 110. Now forced to use a Cloak of Shadows. Chaemiko, Cloak of Shadows, doing a good job once more as the Mountain King, well, stays steady at 200 hit points somehow. 81 supply compared to 80. Remember, you do not want to be in that low upkeep limbo as the Archmage now gets up to level 6. Level 3 Water Elementals. Mountain King going to be in trouble, down to 98 hit points. Archmage opting to go for level 3 Water Elementals over Mass Teleport as the battle is still pushing into this spot. Mountain King looking to pull back here. Has enough for a bullet in the chamber, and the Priest, well, a couple of Spellbreakers in the back. They should be, well, rallied in, ready to go, just trying to rotate the lower hit point units as we see a Mass Teleport finally getting away, and those units do end up backing up. HawK, during that time, it was able to establish up another base. It is still 2 bases versus 1 now, as the starting locations have been mined out. Talk about a war of attrition. HawK bringing the battle to Chaemiko's front door and keeping it there for an extended period of time. By doing that, by keeping the battle at that front door for such a long time, well, it caused HawK to be able to expand behind this. Now, a little bit of a benefit for Chaemiko. He was able to catch up, got to level 5 on his Mountain King, and also picked up a Cloak of Flames. However, the Cloak of Flames not going to be nearly as powerful as Chaemiko's Archmage, the one with the Cloak of Flames. Rarely, if ever, should the Archmage ever be surrounded in a game like this within melee range or a Cloak of Flame range by units. So a little bit of a weird call there. 80 supply over 92 compared to 80 over 104. 2 bases versus 1. And I believe the writing is on the wall. All right, Archmage, Mountain King. Are we going to see some Stormbolts? Yes, one Stormbolt already ready. Archmage going to say, you know what? I don't need to stick around. Let's go ahead and back away and push in on the other side of the other side where you have, well, interests. Now, what is going to happen here? Chaemiko does know that the expansion is operational. We're looking at another low hit point Spellbreaker. Units trying to retreat back. Archmage doesn't even have the opportunity to sell that Cloak of Flames right now. Are we perhaps going to see, oh, there's a bash onto a Spellbreaker, and, well, another Spellbreaker. Dance trying to get a little bit of an advantage. Spellbreaker down. All right, so Chaemiko needs about 5 or 6 more of those in order to come out ahead while saving his own Spellbreakers. We're going to see another Stormbolt, another Priest gets taken out. Higher Priest numbers for Chaemiko as well. So this could be a potential issue. If HawK loses all 3 of these Priests, that's going to be a key point. Mountain King down to 109 hit points, able to back away. One Spellbreaker, well, not close enough. Are we going to see another Mountain King, Boots of Speed, perhaps get a bash hit? No. The Spellbreaker able to back up. Spellbreaker heading back off to the north. The hero experience, you can see 5.4 versus 5.6. It was 5.0 versus 5.5 a second ago. So the experience is shifting the other way. Chaemiko, Mountain King, mana is going to be key. Who's going to be able to get that mana is important. And remember, Priest being able to keep the Spellbreakers alive, that is an important part of the battle. As a low hit point Priest, does it get taken down? Yes, it does. Spellbreakers, both sides continuing to battle it up here, getting mana removed from the Mountain King. The important call right now as we see a Stormbolt go down. Mountain King still has enough for 2 Stormbolts right now compared to 0 Stormbolts for HawK. Stormbolt count. There goes another peasant. Are we going to see some more battling here? There goes another peasant as well. Mountain King, is he going to turn back around and try and Stormbolt a target? That is the question. The Priest, well, Militia coming back the other way. There's a Stormbolt onto another Priest. That Priest, is it going to fall? Yes, it is. The Spellbreaker is able to get within range again. But, well, both sides are losing quite a bit of units. Mountain King trying to back away. 5.9 versus 5.6. HawK trying to, well, extend the lead that he had momentarily, as the Mountain King perhaps going to be able to get in a couple more Stormbolts again. More Dispel Magic. Archmage pushing in pressure. Remember, Chaemiko has level 3 spell water elementals, so they take significantly more to try and dispel down, but they also give more experience. Going back and forth, Chaemiko now trying to retreat back with that Mountain King, waiting for enough mana on that Stormbolt, and still not quite there. So it is Mass Teleport versus level 3 water elementals in terms of the Archmage ability, and who's going to come out on top. 85 supply compared to 88. Level 6 now on the Mountain King. Mountain King losing a little bit of mana. There's a Stormbolt onto another Priest, finding another target. HawK has replenished his Priest count to keep the army alive, and Chaemiko looks like he's starting to fall apart here. 78 supply compared to 88. I've said a couple of times if reached a tipping point, but Chaemiko has found ways to hold on to it, but the economic advantage of that extra base may become far too much. This base has, well, mined 3,000 gold, I believe, so 5 minutes of mining difference. Well, account for taxes, difficult to do. Archmage, oh, Brilliance, or excuse me, and now switching over to Blizzard. So Blizzard is going to open things up and cause a little bit of problems, as the Priest are not going to be able to fight around, but Chaemiko unable to hold on to his Archmage and ends up losing this marathon of a match. It felt like they were fighting for forever and a day. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.